feel very privileged and honored to be here. As I said, I am active duty. Spent the last 9 years in the service in the United States Army. Peace is something that's that powerful. It can bring everyone together. I came up with 2 sets of numbers. The first set is a set of numbers that really anyone here could go and see themselves if they were to type it into Google and research what happens in war. But with that, it's a chance to educate and build up on the building blocks that lead to the second set. And the second set is a set of numbers that are only mine that I want to share with all of you. And those are the numbers that are reflected of a veteran who has experienced what combat is. Everyone knows that the basis of the war on terror, as it's come to be known, was started with 9/11, right? On that day, 2,976 people died. Regardless of what you believe happened that day, why it happened, anything like that, it's a tragedy. Loss of life is a tragedy, no matter how it occurs. But when you look at that and you really think about those 2,976 people, would it really equate out to what the next number represents? And that's 2.5 million people who have died in justification from the attacks on 9/11. 2.5 million people have given their lives. If you were one of those 2,976, would you want that done in your name? Would you want those lives to be taken? I know I would not. Let's take it a step further. Let's look at our current economy and the things that are happening. Right now, if we stopped wars around the world, $19.3 million an hour we would save if we stopped war. Imagine what that could do for the world. Since 9/11 took place, 91,500,000 people have perished from this earth from starvation. Why are we spending money on bombs and bullets when we could be providing people with medicine, shelter, care, spreading love instead of hate? The war on Iraq alone, to this point, has cost approximately $810 billion to the U.S. people. $810 billion. Economists have estimated if you took half of that, you could provide food, clothing, water, education, and shelter for every single human being on planet Earth. For half of what it cost for us to kill 2.5 million people. How do we justify it? How can we make that make sense? And that leads it into the next part. It leads it into my numbers. The numbers that you can't go and Google. The numbers that you come back with when you're scarred from when you take people's lives and you've had to watch your friends die next to you. My first number is 17. 17 is the number of people's lives that I've taken by pulling a trigger. That I stand here before all you, asking still for their forgiveness and trying to live my life better. To do this like I'm doing right now and spread the talk of peace and to let people know that what's happening over there isn't going to make that side of the world a better spot. It's not going to make us more free here. Nobody is going to change a belief system of another nation by pointing a gun in their face. It's impossible. My next number is 6. It's the number of friends that I've lost directly to this war. People that I grew up with, either from high school or some of my soldiers that I was deployed with, that I either watched with my own eyes die or had to see fly away on a helicopter only to find out later. I think to one of them, Benjamin S. Franklin, everyone called him Frankie. And the first time we were deployed in Afghanistan, he stepped on a anti-tank pressure mine, blew him approximately 100 yards away, and as he sat there, we went to him, and he knew he wasn't going to make it. He looked up at us all. His mom had just lost her house in Hurricane Katrina. He was 19 years old with a pregnant fiance back home, and he simply smiled and said, I'm thankful that I'm going because I know that my mom is going to be able to put a house over her head and that my baby's going to have shelter, and they'll be able to find the peace that I did not have. But why does it take that? Why does it take getting down to that point, which goes to the next number, and that's the number 4. That's the number of people I know who have taken their own lives as soldiers, who've come back and could not recover from what PTSD does. The stigma around PTSD for what we see as soldiers is broken from the get-go. We call it a disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. If you're over there and you watch your friends die, you see other people around you die, you take somebody's life and you have a problem with it, you don't have a disorder, you're a human being. If you are okay with that happening, there's obviously something wrong. This is the biggest thing that people aren't communicating. The reason why there's a break and why we have the largest amount of suicides right now that the military has ever seen is because the way that the system is established, the way that the military structure is, you're a coward, you have a disorder if you go to try to seek help for having problems with your friends dying, and soldiers can't take that. Which leads me to the next number. This is the worst number that I have. That's the number 2. You know, everyone has their favorite numbers. You know, you get a lottery ticket, or you go and order Chinese food, and you know, you look at the back of the numbers on there that come with your fortune cookie, and you know, it makes you happy. You look at those things and you say like, oh yes, this is going to be lucky. This fortune's going to come true for me. Well, imagine for me, every time I see the number 2, like we just saw Matt Ryan was playing for the Atlanta Falcons, you know, everyone's, oh yes. Well, I look at the number 2 on his jersey, and what I think about is the 2 little girls that died inside of the building that I had ordered to be collapsed because I was taking fire from it. See, when you go in the military, you're trained that you and your men are more important than every single life that is there. As long as you bring home everybody that you deployed with, it doesn't matter how many body bags are set up on their side. I've got a daughter of my own. How do I look her in the eyes and know that I took that away from somebody else? Every time I see the number 2, that's what I think of. I don't think of winning some lucky ticket or anything like that, but those are the numbers that people don't see when you're a veteran. They don't think about that. They don't think that, you know, a veteran's gone over there, that they've done these things. You know, we're supposed to be these rough, tough guys that come back and just ride all that out. We have scars that last beyond the wounds of war that are physical. But that leads to 2 great numbers, my final 2 numbers. And the first number is the number 1. And that's the life that I have to live, and everyone here has. Everyone here has the number 1. You have one voice to be able to go out and spread the word of peace. You have one chance to go forward and do something with your life that makes this world better than when you got here. And if we can all do that and achieve that, we can achieve the last number, and that number is 0. The number 0, which is exactly how many more mothers should be reached and met by a chaplain instead of the arms of their loved one. 0, the number of children who should receive folded flags while their father or their mother is buried into the earth. 0, the number of wars we need in order to achieve peace. Thank you all very much.